So I thought I'd ask the question. I know you did Trump and his first 100 days, but he did promise some very radical stuff.
He did.
And the radical stuff, it's inching through.
So I just want to just summarize what I was saying in that video. Is overall, Trump's 100 days has been pretty good. He did get a lot of good stuff done, as in he stopped the border invasion. He has made America something important in people's minds, and so he is putting America first. He's made mistakes, but he's generally been pretty good. But you are right. The really impactful, radical stuff has been kind of left off the table.
It's a little bit tepid so far, and he promised a lot of very radical things.
Yes,
before he came in, and you're going to struggle to find a UK media outlet that is more pro-Trump than us.
Yes.
So this criticism is friendly criticism, and it's criticism
constructive.
Right? It's constructive criticism. It's be more radical, do more radical stuff.
And the thing as well, before we go into this, I do want to also couch this in a. I understand that you are working within systems that are hostile to you, and there are.
Destroy them then.
Hang on.
Right, okay.
But it's not. It's probably not that simple, right?
No,
it's probably there's a vast depth of complexity that underpins it beneath the surface that we just can't see.
Yes.
That means that essentially, people will have sat down with other people and said, look, if you do this, this will happen, and this is terrible, so you can't do this. Right?
That said, I would like to see more people led away in handcuffs.
Well, yes, I agree. So I just want to be clear that I'm personally not trying to castigate the Trump administration. Again, big Trump supporter. But there are, I agree with you, a series of things that were promised that we actually, I think, are if nothing else, cathartically important to be done.
It is interesting as well, because that kind of led away in handcuffs type imagery. I don't think the British public are ready for that yet, but I think the American public actually, because of the American spirit, and because of the things that they've been subjected to, I think they absolutely are ready for that.
I think
it does beg the question why it's not happening,
and the nature of some of the crimes as well.
Yes.
Like Epstein didn't have any customers, did he? Oh, okay, interesting. Sorry.
Yeah. So the first one that I think I'll come to is this chap here, Thomas Crooks, the Trump shooter. Now,
known BlackRock associate.
Yes.
Yeah.
We were told he's a lone wolf immediately, and then it was sort of buried.
Does this kid look like a lone wolf?
No, he doesn't look like any sort of wolf, to be honest.
Exactly. Exactly.
Looks like a prey animal.
Yes, he does.
As we spoke about last time.
Yes. Does that qualify as prey eyes, and does it, Charlie?
I would say so. As a professional, yes.
It absolutely does, though.
But yeah, I mean, there was clearly something going on at higher levels, and we haven't seen anyone led away in handcuffs yet.
It's like the Las Vegas shooting as well.
Yes, another memory hold.
What happened to that?
Yeah, that's gone very.
He lugged all of that gear up the service elevator on his own, did he?
Yes.
Wasn't it something like 1,500 rounds he fired, something like that? That is a really... Anyway.
Memory hold.
Yeah, completely memory hold. No one wants to think about that anymore.
I mean, specifically on this guy, I've got a number of questions. Why did the DHS Secretary Mayorkas deny Trump's request for additional security? Still don't have an answer for that.
Great question.
When did Thomas Crooks scope out the building? And how did he know this was the roof to shoot from? Why was this roof unprotected by Secret Service and police? Especially when it was sort of identified as a place where direct assassin would have a direct line of sight.
I mean, it did. Like when afterwards, you'd see on the images they'd take this.
It was the obvious spot.
Yeah.
It was just a direct line.
Yeah. Why did the Secret Service and police ignore people literally yelling and pointing that there was somebody on the roof?
Kind of JFK-esque, that, isn't it? Oh, they're on the grassy knoll. No, they're not. Shut up. You don't
why the hesitancy in engaging Crooks? And how is it possible? This is another big one. How is it possible that Crooks has no digital footprint?
Yeah. Sort of, young man in the modern world doesn't use the internet.
Yes.
Doesn't look like he gets out a lot as well, let's be honest.
True, exactly.
Right.
What is he doing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before I go further on the details on this one, I just want to point out, and this is going to be a slight tangent, but it is going to be directly relevant to this thread. We've actually got an upcoming Lads Hour in which we're going to be addressing this question. If you're not already watching Lads Hour, that's probably because you're not a subscriber, and this is I don't know if it's the best thing we do, It's
definitely the most
funnest
fun
thing we do. Yes. So if you want to watch our lads out, which are very popular, you can go to our website and you can join up there and you can see some of the lads hours that we do. Anyway, the point with this lads hour is a lot of the debate will hinge on how effective is the shooter in the middle. So I've been doing some research for this lads hour, and what I did is I got into shooting. Because I wanted to be able to address this question properly. Okay. So just as a quick side note, because Americans always get this wrong, Americans think that we can't have guns.
We can have guns.
We can have guns.
There are in fact millions of guns in the country, just not in cities.
Yes. Well, I mean, some demographics in the city have handguns, but yeah, different question. But no, it is absolutely possible to get some serious kit in this country. Handguns are a bit more restricted; they tend to be amongst the criminal classes. But there's actually an awful lot of good stuff that you can get in the UK. It's just that, as you pointed out, we don't have a gun culture here. But we can have guns. We do have gun shops and all the rest of it. Anyway, so then I did a bit of bit of time at the range, which is thanks to the Ricochet Rifle Club. So I've got to give them a quick shout out. If you are looking to join a rifle club in the Oxfordshire area, get in touch with them. And what I'm all leading to here is I am a complete beginner at this stuff. Mm-hmm. I'd never fired a bolt action rifle before in my life.
Have you not?
No, I've fired some guns, but not a bolt action thing before. And the gun I was using was actually this one here, which is iron sights gun, and this is a target which is about the size of a child's head. It's about maybe that.
Right, yeah.
The point is, it's smaller than Trump's head.
Yeah.
And I was shooting at a distance which is about the same distance as Trump was away from this shooter.
Right.
Complete and utter first timer. That's how I did.
Not bad.
The point is, and
only one of those wings his ear.
Yes, quite. Ignore this one down here. That's the staple mark. But 10 shots on target, and even a complete beginner Brit who'd never used a bolt action rifle before in his life would have taken out Trump at least 9 times out of 10. That one was possibly an earshot.
Yeah.
So you can sort of understand why whoever it was that put this Crooks kid up to it was confident that he could get the job done, because it genuinely was an
Charles
shot. Yes. Yeah. It was a genuinely easy job. So you can understand why. And I mean, further questions on that point. Why did CNN live stream the entire event?
Yeah,
why don't they cut? Is that what you're saying?
No.
No, it's not. Yeah,
they're taken to just not live streaming his broadcasting his event.
I see what you mean.
Because they're highly persuasive and fun.
Yes. People
were tuning in and being like, yeah, this Trump guy's making a lot of points, and I like hear the cut of his jib. It's nice to just hear him go off script. Yeah. And so it was a while ago, in fact, that they just decided we're just not going to broadcast them.
Yeah. And they hadn't covered any of them in that election cycle, except for that one.
Weird, that.
The Butler rally. Weird. They live streamed the entire thing.
It's almost like they had a particular shot that they wanted to get.
And they didn't cut the feed. That's the point I was sort of driving.
That's a good point. They didn't cut the feed either.
Because you think, I mean, the moment a shot goes off, cut the feed. Can't have people saying that, but they didn't.
Yep. No, so that is deeply odd.
And it's just on that point, it's really ironic that Trump just comes up and he's just like fight, get completely turns it into a completely iconic image. Yeah. And it's like that.
And as I actually tweeted yesterday that he has now commodified his own assassination attempt, which is about the most American thing I can imagine.
I have other questions. Because, of course, it wasn't just Crooks. It was that other guy who took a shot up in the golf course as well. Why is it that both of the assassins were featured in BlackRock commercials?
The action
I'll kill the sound on that. But, yeah, so I think we there we go. There's one of the Trump shooters.
Really?
In a BlackRock commercial. And here's the other BlackRock commeral, which features... there he is
right
again.
There.
Yep.
That's weird.
That is
he is knowing.
Oh,
what are the odds? What are the odds?
Put it this way, and I'm not endorsing this, so nobody come and arrest me. But let's say people were taking pot shots at Keir Starmer, and 100% of the assassins were Lotus Eaters presenters. Do you think that
at some point they might suggest that maybe there's a connection? Yeah.
Do you think somebody somewhere would be taking a good hard look at us?
Yes, I think so.
Yes. So yeah, 100% of the assassins were featured in BlackRock commercials. CNN decided to live stream the entire thing. The other thing that gets me is, do you remember that woman who was the head of the Secret Service?
It rings a bell, but I can't remember.
Yeah, she was the head of the Secret Service, and when this all happened, she kind of basically spoke about it as if it was, somebody had accidentally ordered too many staples or something. It was a thoroughly bureaucratic measure. It's like, okay, well, yeah, we take a look at this, and
we'll put it on the list.
Yeah, I mean, it's something it's probably something we need to address.
Yeah. No, I do remember that actually.
Was it her who also wanted to deny him more security? Was that the same person?
Well, I mean, there was multiple people in that chain who denied the additional security, and
the security that was around him. I mean, one of them was a short woman.
Yeah. Yes.
It's like she literally can't physically put her body between him and a bullet.
Well,
because his
body is bigger.
Yeah, so much taller than her, and it's like, right, okay.
But in addition, she was ducking, so that
she wasn't doing her job properly anyway.
Yeah.
But even if she was, she couldn't have done it.
But I mean, a huge number of questions around this, and I suppose I need to be careful what I need to say for legal reasons, so I'll frame this delicately. But the Democrat Party were trying to get him killed, and they were in conspiracy with the deep state in order to do it.
Is what people online are saying.
Yes. Well, yes. But there really, really should be people walking out in handcuffs over this incident.
It looks that way, yeah.
And isn't 100 days enough to make the first arrest on just this matter alone?
Yeah, I do wonder about this, because I think Trump has essentially worried about them. Because, I mean, they have already tried to kill him at least once, possibly twice.
Yes.
So...
yeah.
It is interesting how, I mean, on your point of Trump not really doing anything particularly radical, how he isn't going after the individuals who have been responsible for his own persecution. Now, whether that's because he's been advised not to, because people are going to say it's a bad look, persecuting the opposition or the rest of it, or for other reasons, I don't think it's clear. But you'd think that a guy like that he'd have it in his absolute, his blood must be boiling that he's not been able to go after these people.
I mean, people trying to kill you is not the sort of thing you forget.
No.
So...
Or even trying to put you in prison. Like, let's forget these.
Well, and that. Yeah. I mean, I could talk about that as well, but there's many radical things that we are hoping to see. And judges arrested as well. I mean, that's all part of it as well. So I do think that this needs to be addressed, and we need to kind of see some arrests. We want to see people who are involved in this exposed. There's no way that this kid didn't have a digital footprint, and there's no way that something wasn't going on. There's no way that there was Secret Service in that building, but somehow they overlooked somebody clambering out on a roof, which was in front of a window which apparently they were stationed in. And
it's so convenient they get shot afterwards as well.
Yeah, and then they immediately hose down the area and he's immediately cremated.
Yeah.
And the story is immediately... I mean, something is obviously going on there. Moving on. This is the official Jeffrey Epstein paedophile arrest counter.
Ah.
It's not ticking. It's been 6 years now.
That's true. I mean, Ghislaine Maxwell's in jail. Something.
I suppose. I mean,
when you say Jeffrey Epstein, you may as well just have Ghislaine Maxwell next to it, because she was intricately involved in the procurement of young girls. So I read through the files when he first went to jail, 6 years ago, whatever it was, and made a video on it. She was directly involved, completely involved in all of it. She would take part in the sex offences.
I'm putting her down as an organiser, but there's been none of the clients have been arrested. So also, he didn't kill himself, obviously. Obviously.
Shocking.
Very obviously.
So that's something that could be exposed by Trump,
and people could be put in handcuffs and let
away. I'm sure he mentioned this when he did his Joe Rogan interview. Did he not? He said that he'd taken a look at the files at the time and had decided that the amount of furore that it would cause if he were to release them is almost like too much trouble. More trouble.
I can't remember that offhand, but
I'm sure I've heard him say that somewhere, and it doesn't sound like Trump, to be honest. That kind of thing.
The thing is, though, I personally suspect that the depth and scope of this issue is literally all of them.
Yeah. Are we, for example, to believe that Republican donors weren't involved?
Yeah, exactly. Of course.
For instance.
Yeah, right? Sorry, I mean, are we suggesting that Lindsey Graham is completely clean on this issue? I don't know, but I'd love to find out.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
I doubt it'd be little girls in his case, but
yeah, sure.
Yes, you see the point. Yeah. That there's clearly something going on. This thread, post, highlights some of the issues here. But Pam Bondi said she was going to release the files. I don't doubt her sincerity.
Yeah.
And they had that thing where they called in a bunch of sort of tame reporters and they showed them redacted files, and then they could tweet about it. Yeah. But there was nothing in them.
Nothing we didn't already know.
No names.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, and we should also acknowledge the elephant in the room that Jeffrey Epstein was clearly an intelligent asset for a foreign power, possibly one aligned with the US. Sure. So I can understand there's sensitivities there, and I can understand Republican donors may well be. I mean, he was trying to catch everybody. So it's entirely possible that
seems to have succeeded as well.
Yes. Yeah. So it's entirely possible friends as well as enemies. But this is a cleansing that needs to happen. Again, we need to see people in handcuffs being led away. And if it hurts your own side, then it is necessary.
And they shouldn't have been doing those things. That's simple.
Quite right. If you go to an influencer's house and he offers you something a bit naughty, then you should say no.
Yes. You're a fool if you say yes. That's real.
Yeah. You must know you're being entrapped. Yeah. You must know.
So I mean, I'll skim through some. I won't go through all of them now because I don't think I've got time. But she's making a whole bunch of. Oh, there we go. There's the influencer thing.
I do think, if I may, very quickly, the whole Epstein issue. Actually, I think there's a deeper point to be made about it, which is the kinds of people who are able to arrive at positions of leadership in the systems that we have in this country and in America, where they are the types of people who can be so easily compromised through the allure of sex, women, drugs, things that are the parties, all of it, right? The fact that, and maybe it's just human nature, maybe I'm being a perfectionist, but the fact that those sorts of people are the people who govern us and who our system selects for. Who actually, the incentives seem to, want.
Well, and also very possibly you're not allowed to rise up to a certain level unless you are compromised.
Yeah,
that's a possible factor.
I mean, the system will literally select against you, because if the system is made up of corrupt people, why would you want honest men getting to the top?
Yeah. You need to gatekeep them out.
Of course you do.
There was I think a congressman, I can't remember his name, but the chap in a wheelchair, and he's a young, good-looking chap.
I remember the guy.
But he's in a wheelchair, and he was saying that he would, as soon as he got into politics, he would go to things and he would have these 10 out of 10, 9 out of 10 stunners soliciting him for sex, quite obviously. And it's he is a good-looking chap, but he is in a chair, and even if you are a good-looking chap and you're not in a chair, that doesn't happen.
But notice how this was basically the end of his political career as well.
Yes.
Because I can't remember his name now, and the thing is, I really like the guy because his rhetoric was just hardcore.
Yeah, he was good. I can't remember.
I know, I can't remember.
Wasn't there I'm sure there was a compromising image of him released at some point.
Something like that.
At some kind of frat party.
Yeah.
I do remember that. But anecdotally speaking, anybody who has moved in political or media circles for any amount of time, as I have for the last couple of years, it's my job, you will,
Madison Cawthorn.
Yeah, that's the guy.
And he's a really, he was a young lad, 18 in 2014, and he had a really good-looking future in the MAGA movement. Somehow tanked.
Interesting that. But the extent to which this kind of thing is just ubiquitous. I mean, I can only speak to the UK scene, but the way, like I said, the drugs, the parties, all that kind of stuff, everything that people think goes on in the halls of power, it's all true.
I mean, I've had conversations with politicians and aides of politicians who say, there is. Yeah. This does happen.
Yeah, totally.
I mean, I've had people tell me that, like Peter Mandelson, I'm not going to repeat what they've told me, but it's just like, okay.
Another friend of Epstein. Let's not.
Yeah. Another friend of Epstein, the current UK diplomat to the United States, he probably implicated, from what I've been told. So
I've heard some of the similar rumours, and I'd love to talk about them, but we...
No.
Yeah. It's an open secret, though, all of this kind of stuff. They all know. In American and British political circles,
Let me just quickly play this video from Pam Bondi talking on this subject, since it's relevant. Actually, Samson, you do it for me. I'm not very good at the buttons.
You just need to press it twice.
Palmer said yesterday that all the Epstein files are missing. Can you confirm the status of them? They still haven't heard from you.
No, the FBI, the FBI, they're reviewing, there are tens of thousands of videos of Epstein with children or child porn. And there are hundreds of victims. And no one victim will ever get released. It's just the volume, and that's what they're going through right now. The FBI is diligently going through that. I haven't seen that statement, but I'll call him later and find out.
That I can be free to do the thing.
No, so they're going through a whole bunch of things, and so I'm sympathetic to a point. But you have had
hang on a second. So this framing bothers me, right? Because we know it's not just Epstein, because we know on his little St. James Island he had cameras set up to catch visitors. Yeah. And we know that he would have had tens of thousands of videos of people on a little
people
St.
who,
James.
for example, flew with him 25 times on his private jet.
Exactly. So it's like the framing itself. She's just saying, "Oh, it's all just Epstein again."
Yeah, she's bringing it back to a single man.
Just Epstein, and we know that it's not.
I mean, there is an interesting kind of moral quandary here, which is, the actual materials themselves. Should they be in the public domain? I mean,
no. Obviously, the actual material themselves, but like the report describing what had happened, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But the point is,
I'm saying, should they be? Because maybe it's in the public interest.
No, I don't think they should, just because.
If there was literally no other way in order for something to happen, maybe something.
I think the nature of the thing doesn't need to be. I think the an official report describing what's happening with various censored images or whatever, just so you can see the face of the perpetrator, right? You can black out the whole thing except for this guy. That's fine. But the point being, she's not naming any names. She's specifically not implying even that there's other people involved.
Well, and that's kind of the point of the segment. I'm sympathetic, but they need to be careful and sensitive given the subject matter, and they need to protect the victims and all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, you can't lead us around on this forever. You are going to need arrests and lots of them, because
and it would be just.
Yes.
Yeah. Can I also point out the fact very quickly, just while we finish, that whilst Epstein may have been the person who produced these materials, whoever now owns them, whoever is the kind of final buck with whom with whom it stops, who actually, they now have the power that those materials hold. They are the ones who actually now hold the compromat.
And it must be
which begs the question. What are they doing with it? What are they doing with it? Perhaps there's a reason they're not prepared to release it.
Well, because it's a very powerful tool having this compromat on people.
Yeah.
That's a great point. I didn't even consider that because I don't think in those sorts of ways. But you're a good point.
It's a very Machiavellian thing,
but it's a good point.
And are we to believe that the FBI is above that kind of thing?
Oh yeah, the FBI just full of angels, mate, full of angels.
Yeah. So I would linger on that more, but we got more to come to. Trump's statement about deep state overhaul. Let's play this from about 51 seconds in for about 30 seconds or so. I'll tell you when to stop.
There must also be a complete commitment to dismantling the entire globalist neocon establishment that is perpetually dragging us into endless wars, pretending to fight for freedom and democracy abroad, while they turn us into a third world country and a third world dictatorship right here at home. The State Department, the defense bureaucracy, the intelligence services, and all of the rest need to be completely overhauled and reconstituted to fire the deep staters and put America first. We have to put America first. Finally,
So, I mean, part of a longer piece, and he also goes on to talk about a Truth and Reconciliation committee for, some of the many things that were done. Love the energy. Where are the arrests?
When was this released, sorry?
This was before he got elected.
Yeah,
so
you can tell.
Yeah, these were campaign videos he was putting up before he got elected. But yeah, exactly. These are strong statements. Well, go on. What are we doing here?
And is it going to be the way he's going after the deep state? Is he's going to change the head of department?
No, he said reconstitute the entire thing. I mean, this is arriving in JFK territory of scattering them to the winds, right?
Yeah. But what we've seen so far is
JFK files didn't really actually do anything interesting, which was very strange.
Yep. We've seen good people put in, like the Kash Patels and the Tulsi Gabbards and stuff. So fine, happy with that. But that's a change of leadership. That's not reconstitution. That's not gutting them and rebuilding them.
Yeah.
I think people overuse the whole containment thing, but it sure as hell looks like that in those cases.
Quite. A number of things that he mentioned that he was going to, reinstate some executive orders. He did well on the executive orders. I'll give him that.
Yeah, he did.
A massive overhaul of national security and intelligence agencies. Not seeing it so far. Just seeing the head changed, and maybe they need a bit of time. But
and to be fair, I can understand that it could take time, but at least seed it into the public consciousness. Look, we're working on this at the moment. You'll see in 6 months or something. Something like that, rather than just never mention it again.
Yeah. And when was the last time you heard Trump talk about the neocon foreign policy establishment and this kind of rhetoric? I mean, that's,
Yeah.
Although didn't some guy just recently get fired Walls recently get fired for being too pro-Israel.
Oh yeah.
So that's a start.
Yeah, but I think it goes beyond one chap, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree.
The,
I mean, obviously, obviously it goes. Obviously, yeah.
yes,
But that's a start. That's something.
yeah, but again, I'm not seeing people led away in handcuffs, and that's kind of what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
At this point,
There are a bunch of criminals who need their comeuppance.
yeah. Reform Pfizer courts. I'm sure something is being done on that. A Truth and Reconciliation Committee to declassify and expose all documents related to deep state activities. I suspect that one's going to be put on the back burner.
Yeah.
But would love to see it. Crackdown on leaks. I'm sure he actually will do that one. Independent Inspector Generals. He talks about audit the intelligence community and decentralised federal power. So, I mean, all of those are great ideas. I mean, other things that he sort of floated in the past of, departments to go, Department of Education, Department of Commerce, Environmental Protection Agency, and Department of Homeland Security needs to be entirely restructured. Agree, Mr. Trump, agree to do it. Do that. What else have we got? I should give an honourable mention to the JFK files.
Yep.
Because they were released. They're completely useless.
Yep.
But they were released.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's the point, isn't it? The one thing that gets done is something that's very safe and doesn't challenge the status quo.
Yeah, and once again, containment. There was if you'd said 10 years ago, the JFK files, you don't even need to qualify what that means. The JFK files are going to be released. It would have been like, what are you talking about? That would upend the entire American state, but it did
Somehow
nothing.
did nothing.
It did nothing.
But
and now people don't talk about it.
Well, they've had decades to clean those files out, so I wasn't necessarily expecting much. Might be a bit hopeful. 9/11. Maybe a bit of a dig into that.
I'd love to know more about Lucky Larry Silverstein.
Tucker Carlson did an excellent interview. I can't remember his name now, but with a former senator who was on the Intelligence Committee, and the way him and his family were.
Well, the fact that it didn't include Building 7 in it in their report.
No, it's much deeper than that. It's worth watching. Actually, I should have linked it here. But that Tucker Carlson with that senator, former senator, about him and his family, his life was destroyed because he asked one too many questions. And in one other thing that always stood out to me is the FBI raided his daughter's house, and Tucker was asking, okay, well, what was the charge? Oh, no charge. They never spoke to her. They took files and computers out of her house and sealed them in boxes, and then returned the boxes a couple of weeks later unopened. So they didn't speak to her. They didn't look at anything.
Intimidation.
Yeah. No, but what they got out of it was a headline, which his daughter was arrested for corruption. He gets chucked off the committee, and then they drop all charges against her.
Right. So it's right.
Yeah. Just because he was asking the wrong questions.
That's just theatre.
Yeah. Doge, I should mention.
Well, it's not just theatre. It's taking out a troublesome node.
You know what I mean? It's all just confected nonsense.
Oh yeah, it's confected, but they were doing it specifically to target that guy, to remove him from the committee, so they could carry on with what it is.
It's well worth watching that interview. I'm going to give an honourable mention to Doge because good progress is being made there. It's still got
400 billion, is that?
Yeah, the thing I would point you out here is those are the Doge savings. That's got 3 commas, but the deficits has 4 commas.
Yeah, I'm aware. Yeah.
So
it's a good start.
It's a step in the right direction. So I will acknowledge he's being radical there. Go further.
Yeah.
Go further, like that. I'll have to give a mention to the tariffs as well. I'll be very quick on this, but I was saying at the time that you guys aren't a member of TradingView, so you're not getting the full view. Okay, I was going to make the point that the tariffs have basically achieved what they were trying to achieve.
Oh, right, okay.
In the early days. So, I mean, there was a lot of fuss at the time about the markets being down. The markets dipped 4% and they are now higher.
Markets are always up and down, I don't care.
Yeah, but they dipped 4% and now they're higher than they were on Liberation Day. And everybody was saying, the markets are down. It's a failure. No, it isn't. Yeah. DXY, which I don't know if we'll get that, the next one. Here you go, the dollar index, major win. So basically, you don't want the dollar to be too low. You don't want it to be too high. You want it around about 100. And it was simply too high before, and part of the tariff policy did indeed get that down. I don't have time to go into why that's a good thing and it's a necessary thing, but they absolutely needed to achieve that. And the other thing, there's a lot of fuss about, you do remember how he crashed the bond?
Yeah, the bonds, the government, US government bonds are worthless now.
Do you see the crash on there? And by the way, on this, up is bad.
Right,
so,
okay.
So going up is a crash. So if you saw some spike that went up, so that is what people were calling the crash in the bond market, that bit there.
I mean, it seems to have been worse in the last few years, right?
Yeah. Bond market was fine. Tariffs and on tariffs, you need to wait years in order to see if the strategic reorientation of the economy happens. Whether they can bring sort of military supply lines back to them. And the other thing people talked about was damaging the midterms. The midterms are 544 days away.
A lot can happen.
100 days. So I've got to give him credit for all of that. So he is doing some radical stuff, but come on. Let's see some people arrested.
Just the final thing on this, it shows you what is actually structurally compromised in the United States and what isn't, right? Like the infrastructure of the political system somehow hinges on the Epstein files not being released, which is kind of terrifying.
And I can't help but wonder, as a final thought, whether all the while this stuff goes unreported and undisclosed, how long it will be before a 2025, 2026 version of Edward Snowden emerges, who has access to this stuff and just decides, do you know what, it's in the public interest. I'm going to sacrifice my own life.
Should and then flee to Russia.
Yeah. It's been done before. It's happened before.
Yeah, that's absolutely true.
Yeah. So we remain supportive, Mr. Trump, but don't lose that radical zeal. You've got to follow through on this stuff, and I want to see people in handcuffs.
Yeah, there's only one chance to do it.
If you would like to watch the full uncut version that is also uncensored, head on over to lotuseaters.com to find out more.